Hey guys, how is everybody doing? Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Oh man, I'm tired. I went to Gettysburg today and did a little hike. Um, kind of got lost. Well, I didn't get lost. I think I basically ended up walking the driving tour, but I wasn't in a car, so I probably should have picked a different path. But it was still nice. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. 4th of July plans? I don't think so. I usually don't do anything for 4th of July. I don't think I know enough people, and the people I do know, I don't really want to spend 4th of July with. Usually, like, neighbors will have stuff going on, and you could walk over, but the thing is, in my neighborhood, I think I'm much younger, um, so it's kind of awkward for me to go there. And my parents are moving around. My dad's at least is moving around a lot. My mom lives far away, so I don't think I'd do anything for 4th of July. What about you guys? Anything good for 4th of July? Because I don't think. Maybe I'll just make some burgers and hot dogs and just hang out. I don't know. Gosh, I'm tired though. I'm beat. I'm going to jump on MoC's internal branch and we're going to do a little testing. You're going to watch The Patriot. You know, that's not a bad idea, man. I do like The Patriot. It's a cheesy movie that's not accurate, but I still just enjoy it as a movie. I think as a film, still enjoyable. So, but yeah, we got a lot of changes that were made. Not too many, but we're going to be seeing artillery grape shot consumes a little less ammo. Artillery should be able to counter battery dueling better. Charge resistance should be a little bit better, so your units deal a little bit more damage back to the unit that's charging them on impact. Britain's thin red line, I just decided to change it to a 20% accuracy buff, or sorry, veterancy buff, because I think what before it was like 100% veterancy, but minus 5% per unit fielded, but it just made the early game way too strong. Fixed a bunch of achievements. Canteens, I think, are better as well. I don't know if I actually swapped them out for Sweden. No, yeah, this is actually better now. Look, stamina recovery 50%, and you get 5 stamina. So that should look better for Sweden, who has a stamina problem. I think the Swedes also have higher morale, so they should be more fun to play. Yeah, look at this. 40 morale now on a musketeer. It used to be 35, which is insane. Defensive AI should be a little bit better. In Delta troops, I changed. Swedish reform progress is higher, so you notice these guys now start with 20% research already done instead of it being 15, so it just gets you off the ground a little bit quicker. Giving items into the military school now gives you up to a 30% boost on excellent items, so that should be much better. In fact, I think that tooltip is wrong. Let me jump into Sweden and check the tooltip for it. I used to do a ton for 4th of July. Now I just work, but I'll take my 2-year-old to see fireworks. Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I think I did a little more for 4th of July as well. But, yeah, let me see what I changed here. It's only 10%. I feel like that should have been higher. So it's 15, 25, 35. And I start with what, 10 research? What did it say I would start with? I thought it said I would start with higher. No, it says 10. Okay. Any Pomeranian Corps changes? I don't think so. I think Pomeranian Corps is going to stay about the same. Polish changes. I made all of the reforms, like expand the infantry, expand the artillery, expand the cavalry, a little less extreme with the malice that it would give. So I think they should be better. Also, the Commonwealth now starts with pelts instead of uniforms, because it didn't make sense that they would capture uniforms before they even entered the war, so I didn't really like that. Like I said, I changed all the Swedes. We also updated a few units all around. I think Prussian Grenadiers are even better now, which is fun. Yeah. They get 5 more melee, so let's check them out on Old Core. They're now a 35 shock, 30 melee, which is much better, with 65 morale, which is insane. Visual bug fixes. Oh, look at this. Someone in the chat just asked about this. Can you add the back rank forming rows? Yeah, look at this. It will occur again, but only if you do columns. So I added it back for columns. So I'll show you an example of how that now looks. We'll jump into the Rise of Frederick to just load into a battle real quick. Okay. My mic is a bit quiet. I think I'm just not talking very loudly. It's on the highest level. I mean, I could boost it just a little bit more. We could do 75. Be a little bit louder. Is it possible to make the flags more wavy? You know, I have that on my list for the next game, but I think we're done with MoC, so I don't really want to go back and nitpick. I'm sure I could nitpick a lot of things, like even having musicians or flag bearers would be nice too. But yeah, you can see here we have these big dense lines, right? But if I form a column, aha, look, we have our gaps back. So the columns are now more gap-based like this, which I think is a good compromise. So look, when you march, it now looks like you're marching like by battalion. And then when you form your battle line, it consolidates into these nice chunky regiments. So I think that's good. Speaking of the next game, Napoleonic, you know, honestly, dude, I think I may never do a Napoleonic game ever. Because of all the projects that we've pitched around, I don't think any of us are interested in doing it. So I don't think that'll happen. Even in the far, far future, like I probably have a higher chance of making a sci-fi game, honestly, than a Napoleonic game. But there are some Napoleonic games already coming out, which I think will do a better job than we would have. So I just don't see a purpose to do it. I do. I have been experimenting with what I had been referring to as Free Company. I've been experimenting. We're just using this month to prototype, because I think I've mentioned in streams before, I don't know if you guys remember, that if in streams before that we kind of have been debating back and forth a lot about what to do next, and I've been asking for your opinions and kind of showing you our little like pitch document and stuff. But yeah, we've been using this month of June to experiment, which has been fun. And I think that we're probably going to end up going back in time rather than forward. But we've been making really great progress with the code name that I'd given Free Company, that project in particular. We've been making good progress on seeing how that turns out. Nothing's confirmed, you know, like I don't actually have any news to share or anything. When I do, then I will share it. But Free Company is like going very well, and I think I'm probably not going to call it Free Company. That's just been the project name. That game is a pike and shot kind of themed game in the 30 Years' War. And, you know, there's some real challenges with it, but it's so unique. Everything we've been coming up with has been very interesting for me. And the one thing I do really love is that it leans into the camp system and customization, arguably more than MoC 1. And that's something I really care about. I know some people may have wanted to see MoC like explore a more geopolitical or like zoomed out lens where you're like a king or something instead. But I really like being in the camp with your troops. Like there's something almost like intimate about the just having your little camp, having your guys there, having your officers. And I want the next game to really lean into that. So I want to pick a time period where that would be relevant. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, but there's no way to confirm anything. Like I'm not even being secretive. If anything, I'm being almost too revealing, but yeah, I'm not being secretive, so there's nothing really I can share that's concrete. And, next week we might run into challenges that make it an impossibility to do it, and we might, we might be flexible and change to something else. So we're just using the whole month of June to really try things out, experiment, that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm having fun with it, and I've come up with some really fun like solutions and new ways to do pike and shot. Like one idea I had that I thought was cool is the idea of linking units. So you like pick out, I know this is not super historical, but it would be like if you had a here, hold on, let me grab an example. I'll just share with you this idea that I had, and you can tell me what you think of it. But I can't go into too much depth because I have not really gone too far into things. Let me see. Sorry, I'm sure this is boring to look at, my just blank screen. I've got to find it. It's pretty far up. It's something that I posted. Here it is. This is using our art, but it's a kind of a crappy AI mock-up. So please ignore the AI art usage here. I just use it for concepting sometimes. Like I'll actually use our own artwork and I'll kind of feed it and conceptualize things. So the two ideas was something like this, and then I also had the idea. First, I took an existing screenshot from MoC1, but I changed it to 4 brigades of 6 units each because I want to allow you to do this thing where, see how these units are actually connected? This is a pike and shot unit connected into one unit card. And so my idea is that a player could purchase like a light musketeer from Scotland and then a veteran pikeman from Sweden, and then you actually get to mix and match and combine your own pike and shot elements, which I thought would be really cool. And then each of the, unit, depending on their culture or their religion, maybe if, you put a Catholic and a Protestant together, like a Spanish pikeman and a Swedish guy into a mixed pike and shot unit, there would be friction between those two guys because they don't have the same religion. So I thought that would be really fun to explore as well. And yeah, that's just something I'm sort of exploring at the moment. Like I said, there's nothing really confirmed with what I'm working on, but I'm just having fun, like concepting stuff and taking a look at the unique challenges that come with this sort of game. But it's quite interesting to me. I've also been looking at like the artwork from this time and trying to build a sort of like color palette around like paintings. So notice like the colors used here with this like greenish, beige, brown is kind of the theme here with beige, green, brown. So I'm like building a color scheme like this for the UI. And so, yeah, I'm just looking at colors. I'm looking at mechanics. I'm looking at what you'd focus on. We're just like conceptualizing different styles of busts. Let's see what else I have. Yeah, these are pretty cool. These are just like little concepts. We're also improving the art style. So going a little bit more realistic like this, but still stylized. This is not AI, by the way, the drawings of the bust. These are all hand-drawn. But yeah, these are pretty cool to me. And then we're also looking, the pike and shot era is very drab in a lot of depictions, especially the units. So we're also looking at ways to differentiate nations by using certain color schemes. So, the top example would be like Spanish, where you see like reds, whites, and beige. And here's like more Swedish, where you see like blues mixed with white and beige. So yeah, even though they didn't really have uniforms back then, we're still trying to figure out a little bit of uniformity just to make these kind of armies stand out from each other. But it seems pretty cool. I'm really liking the art style. I'm liking the colors. I think the idea of making your own pike and shot formations is really unique to me. So, yeah, I didn't mean to really talk about that much today, but it's just been interesting to explore at least. Um, combine 2 pike units to make a mega version. Yeah, that would actually be cool as well. Very good idea. Didn't Swedish infantry battalions combine musketeers, pikemen? Yeah, many of the nations did. Many of them would combine those formations. Yeah, new style looks cool. Yeah, I like the new style. It still has that armchair historian look to it, but it looks a little more professional and less cartoony. I think it also just looks more detailed, right? Because if I grab, this guy and grab him, it's still the same style, but the guy on the right just has all this extra detail that really brings him to life more. Whereas the one on the left looks a little more dated, So, anyways, I've been having fun like working on that, and I'm pretty excited about it. Does it mean you're leaning towards pike and shot? I didn't think I would be, but I'm enjoying exploring it. That's all I can really say right now. Doesn't mean I can really say a particular direction we're leaning in necessarily. But yeah, I mean, if I had to say if we're leaning a direction, I'm enjoying exploring it at the moment. The other thing that's important to me, this I can pretty much confirm, is I'm really tired of the roguelike campaign structure. Like, it was fun, but I really, really want this next game to open up and feel more like a sandbox. So I want to pick a time period where it's relevant that you could be one sort of like character or an army leader in one continent and still feel like it's an open-ended game. So the Napoleonic Wars would have been good for that. But my only issue with the Napoleonic Wars is it's everybody versus Napoleon. I mean, that's a bit of an oversimplification, but it is ultimately Napoleon's story. The time period's named after him, right? It's not like you call the 30 Years' War the Gustavian era, because Gustav dies halfway through it, and there's new characters and new drama and new nations and new armies, and everybody's doing different sorts of things. And I really like that. I want a world that really feels like, Johnny, similar to Bannerlords, not as ambitious as Bannerlord. Obviously we still have a smaller budget, but I just want something that feels open. And the idea of like going to Scotland, recruiting my Scottish pikemen, and then heading down, and then finding some really cool musketeers from the Netherlands, and then mixing them in and creating my own custom army. That sounds really fun to me. So yeah, I'm just enjoying exploring it right now. Anyways, I do need to test our internal build before this update goes live. What would you guys like to see me test today? Because I'm not going to finish this run, but I am just going to test it to make sure we can get through Act 1, that the game doesn't break or anything, because we did update a lot. Like I said, the changes we made were to artillery counter battery fire, so I do want to see how that feels. I changed Prussian Grenadiers. That'd be interesting to also maybe test. I changed Polish Sejm reforms. I changed the Swedish morale. Swedish morale all got +5 across the board, so they should be way sturdier, and that could be interesting to test out. And I've tested bracing as well. So yeah, let me know what you guys think you want to see, and then we'll give it a shot. Prussian Old Guard could be fun. I feel like we've been seeing a lot of Swedish in Poland, so I don't mind giving them a little break. I don't really want to do anything cavalry focused. Damn, the item slot costs are 50% cheaper. That's crazy. Load up on items. I know it seems kind of lame. I might test Austria so I can do counter battery fire and see if counter battery is overpowered or not. Unless that'd be boring to watch, but maybe I'll do that. I do like that these guys start with 10 insight. Sounds nice. Dump all the points in, see what we can do. Why don't we, like, see how far we can get with maybe, only, like, 2 brigades or something, just for fun? Should we make it a 2 brigade challenge to get to the end of Act 1 and just play as tall as humanly possible? If we do that, I could put 10 points into veterancy and try to just play uber tall, which could be kind of fun to do. Look, our general's now 100 men bigger as well. We get 20% extra veterancy. This is basically, you know what's kind of funny? The British the British first composition, their bonus is a 20% veterancy buff, so I basically get the thin red line bonus with 15% combat effectiveness. So that's kind of nice. Prussian Grenadiers only. Yeah, I could do Grenadiers only, but I'd have to train them up. I won't be able to buy all Grenadiers. I don't really need the medicine right now. There's a Grenadier with Goose Step with more combat effectiveness. Excellent. Excellent. Sometimes it is fun just going in for an Act 1 playthrough and just not even bothering with the other acts. Okay. Supplied cash. Probably need men. We have, like, no men. Let's Tiska recruits. I'm also working on a board game. And I would like to get your guys' opinion on my little board game. I'm not really doing it for profit because I know doing board games is not a very profitable venture, but I've always wanted to do one, so I'm working on one. And maybe I'll show it to you, and you guys could tell me if I'm just completely on the wrong track or not after this. But let's try to see if we can rush through Act 1 and make sure the game isn't broken. We have no in-game sound. How about this? There you go. Marching off to war. Got some nice music. Okay. I am starting to enjoy using grenades. I would love to have my entire army have grenade. You know that would be funny for this is that we finish Act 1 and everybody has to have grenades too. Because they're so useful. Especially if you're playing tall. It's like a little force multiplier you can do. And I think we have a burly officer, so we can throw these grenades much further. I'm gonna fire one more time and I'll charge. Nice. I like how big the general is. There we go. The wiki isn't updated. Yeah, that wiki that the community member did is quite old. What do we want to take? I wouldn't mind grabbing veterancy because I don't really need the reservists, and $100 is like nothing, so I'll just go for the level ups. There we go. We got 20% extra veterancy gain as well, so we'll play into that. Like, I'm already vet 2 on both of these guys, plus a general promotion. So we want, like, melee traits. More veterancy would be nice, actually, plus stamina. 15% charge, that was hard to give up, isn't it? Command radius, combat effectiveness. See, I already stacking combat effectiveness is also very good. Damn, what do I go with? I like the idea of stacking more combat effectiveness, to be honest. It's a little micromanagey because you have to be in the command radius to get this. But it does mean, yeah, this is the way to go. Because you get plus 10% melee, plus 10% charge, plus 10% reload, plus 10% accuracy. That's what that does. So I think that's what we're going to go for. I also wonder if it counts for other officers. So once I get a second officer, we can actually test it in-game to see if this applies to any command radius or if it has to be Schwerin's. Also, I think what would be cool is changing these guys. I'm calling them the Garde du Corps. We'll give him a Spontoon, more veterancy gain. The rest I might sell this off. Yeah, I'll sell everything. Item costs are more expensive, so I won't buy anything there. I could buy a Cantonist and train him up, or Lamolets is actually more efficient to train up into, because he can merge into a Grenadier. So he's 750. How do I come up with $50? Is there any reason your eggs stick to the pan? You gotta put more oil, man. Need more oil, butter. Oh, I got a bear. Do I skin him, guys? Do I skin the bear or do I keep him? I think we might have to skin him. 10 morale, 10 reload. Everyone's like, keep him, do not skin him. I was not gonna skin him. I'm gonna take care of these 3 convoys and come back to pick up the Lamolets. What else do we want? Campaign speed, move around a little quickly. Army replenishment is also nice. I might go for this. Just make the general even bigger. I might max awareness out and then do ferocity to get melee buffs for the grenadiers. Okay, I got money. I do lose time, but I get money. And I needed 700 or something to get the soldier I wanted. Specialty ammo, weapons or a cannon. It's I usually end up getting canister, which I don't like. Let's see what weapons we get. Socket bayonet and a Delft carbine. I'd sell those. Drummers. I got a bagpiper. That's nice. Nice 100 morale. And I need 700, so we're just still a little bit short. Ah, a little parade. 5 days. I'm wasting so much time. Oh, I'm at 699. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, I needed 750 anyways. What do I sell? I want to keep everything. I could sell the bayonet. I mean, how much do I get? Who's better at charging? This guy. 729. Aha, I have an idea. Look at this. Free money. Look at that. There we go. A little exploit. I didn't even need to sell the bayonet. I want it back. God damn it. Is he playing tall? Yeah, I'm gonna just stick with 2 brigades. And we need to grab that free unit as soon as we can, because it just is gonna make us so efficient. I don't want to waste too much time raiding, but we will raid villages I don't care about, but yeah, I don't know. Revealing all the villages isn't bad because I can just see if there's any that give me cheaper goods. Like, that's kind of useful. And I know there's really nothing around there. Okay, I'm fine with that. I usually never pick that option. Raise a new regiment if I get worn uniforms. So we're gonna... Didn't we sell off worn uniforms right here? Is there a way we can do a bunch of stuff and then circle all the way back, repurchase the worn uniforms, and then bring it back there? I think that's what we'll do. Someone just has to remember. Let's take these guys on. We're going to put the lamellets in the very front. Don't close that exploit. I'm not going to get rid of the exploit, Gideon, because it's not fully an exploit, since the sabers are actually useful on the general. Will the DLC soundtrack be on YouTube? Yeah, we will eventually get that in. Yeah, lamellets, you guys lead the way. They are Frederican, so they're going to move upon us quickly. What is the combat effectiveness on these guys? 135%. So, this guy is the trait that says command radius, combat effectiveness plus 10%. So our lamellets here has got 110% combat effectiveness. You can see all of his stats are buffed by 10% there. But if I leave... Okay, if I leave the radius... Now he's at 95%, so he lost 5% combat effectiveness. Now if I move up my general... He's back up to 110%. Okay, so this trait is actually pretty good because it doesn't have to be his own combat effectiveness. It could be, or sorry, his own command radius. It could be any command radius. So as long as I have my general just kind of like babysitting, if I only have 2 brigades, then concentrated is actually much better than it seems. This is like a very good playing tall trait. But yeah, I want the lamellets to take the bulk of the casualties, or the combat. I want to ask, how did you find the game you played with Little Wars? I thought it was fine. I think I was almost a little frustrated by it. I mean, it was very, very nice of them to invite me, and they were all very, very kind. But I was frustrated because I didn't know how to play the game. And so all I really wanted was to abandon the front beaches and stack everything in the back, where I suspected that what I suspected was the general with hindsight wouldn't land in the same spot as they did historically. So my whole plan was that I would concentrate everything off the beach and all into the north and put all the barbed wire there. And then they did end up landing in the north, and they did end up going through all the barbed wire. But because I placed my units every 3 hexes apart from each other instead of 2 hexagons away from each other, they were outside of each other's command radiuses, meaning they all just got destroyed. So had I known that there was a secret command radius optimization system within hexagonal adjacency, then it would have worked. But I didn't know that. I didn't really know how to play the game. And the Little Wars guys told me it was a 15-minute commitment. They said 15 minutes, fill something out, and then you're all done. And I spent an hour putting together my battle plan, only for me to not understand the game. And then the entire, I mean, it was quite embarrassing, actually, because the whole, the whole defense fell apart. And when I was watching it back, it just looked completely stupid. It just looked like the Ottomans were in a self-sabotaging bad position. But that's not what I wanted to do, so I don't know. I guess that part was just a little frustrating to me. That's all. Damn, these Grenadiers are just insane, aren't they? But everyone was very nice, so it's not really... I don't think it's really their fault. I think it was just hard to coordinate and communicate. I think that's what ended up really hurting. Fucking hell, guys. What I kind of wish is that I just sort of gave the general orders and that they would have just interpreted it. Whereas when I built an order of battle, I didn't really know what I was doing. So I kind of messed up the whole order of battle, and it ruined, like, the whole... To me, it kind of ruined the video, because it didn't... Like, the Ottomans had absolutely no chance of winning. I did not see any way they could win because of my own sabotage. So some people in the comments were like, why would you put him against a real general? Like, obviously the general's going to win. I don't think it's that the general was, like, super tactically genius, though he was, you know, obviously this guy is a real general. But I think it's just my battle plan was so bad that, like, you didn't need to be a general to beat that. But in my defense, I think it was only bad because I didn't really understand what you had to do in terms of the positioning of the units with the hexagons. So yeah, I don't know. But either way, I don't regret it, and it was still fun to be part of their thing. It was cool that they invited me. Let's go Veterancy again. I'm just gonna keep going Veterancy. Yeah, I don't know if it ruined the video, but I just feel bad because it could have been much better if there was an actual competent defense, but it just felt like the defense was kind of almost confused. And it didn't have to be like that, I guess. Combat effectiveness. Oh, Schwerin, you gentlemen. Excellent. Hi, Kelly. What's up? Is that my phone? Let me see. Thank you. What are you up to?
Is that a real bird?
Is that what?
A bird?
A bird?
Yeah.
Where?
Or is that in the game? No, in
Oh, it's in my ears. Yeah, it's in the game.
Okay.
It's in the...
I can hear.
Yeah. What are you up to?
I'm gonna do mine.
You could do your hair? Okay, sounds good. You sly dog, Schwerin. Yeah, Schwerin is a, he's a real whore for combat effectiveness, isn't he? 10% combat effectiveness, 10% combat effectiveness, 15% combat effectiveness. We will have to raid something at some point. This place sells cheap infantry, though, so I feel like I shouldn't burn that place down. $40 to get a staff officer. Yeah, he's worth 88. I can always sell him if I don't want him. Max range 15%. That's fine. I'll throw him on here. I'll optimize everybody's equipment later, but for now I'm just gonna equip stuff. Did you change it so in battle you can capture artillery? No, because it doesn't really... Artillery is like one of the most valuable things in the game, and if you could just capture it and just have free artillery, I don't know. I don't think the game systems really support that to work. Like, you would need some kind of system. Ah, look at this. A tough enemy field army. with 1 brigade. You know, even if I lost, I don't really care because I now have a guy here. How big is this? Like 11,000? And I have 5,000? Dude, I think my combat effectiveness is just so insane I could beat this thing. Am I being too cocky? I can raise an artillery unit too. I could get 1 howitzer and give him a howitzer plus reload ammo consumption. I don't know. Maybe I don't want artillery though. If I'm only doing 2 brigades, probably want, like, the rest should be infantry with 2 cav. And probably no artillery at this point. Should you make the game mobile? Nah, that's not gonna happen. Doesn't really fit for mobile. It's kind of it's more complicated than maybe it seems. And our only other goal is that everybody needs grenades. I have 145% combat effectiveness. This is insane. I'm gonna fight in dense formations because I'm probably just gonna do a lot of charges. Damn, I like that they're getting nice and close to me. Get grenaded. Okay, I'm gonna get charged. I want to brace as soon as I can. Oh, come on, guys. Oh, they're not gonna brace. They're screwed. Oh, they're so fucked. Alright. I mean, they'll power through that. They got 60 melee skill. I'm gonna hold still. This general is providing a ton of morale, so once this general routes, he's gonna leave, and that's gonna make these guys run away very quickly. There we go. I need to shatter those guys. I don't even mind if I lose this, because I'm just trying to get kills. There we go. Just trying to get kills, and then I can always just come back to this army again and beat it later. Beginner tips in MoC 1. I would say start on easy. Start on easy for 1. And then for 2, get get 3 brigades up as soon as you possibly can in Act 1. If you get 3 brigades, everything becomes much easier. So don't sit there buying little upgrade items unless you're very good at the game and you know what you're doing. Even then, it's just almost always a better idea to just get your 3 brigades up as soon as possible. It's like one of the most important things you can do. I'm gonna have these guys fire and then consolidate over. There's just so many bodies, it's hard to deal with all of this. Where's the general? So this is the only guy who can't sustain too many losses. Oh, he died, and I fucking can't do this. Okay. Little bug there. And when the officer dies, the skull is misaligned with the portrait. Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, well, listen, guys, we're just testing. We're just testing. You know, I just ran a test. I'll reload it, you know? What does it matter? It's just a test. I'll fight that again. This time I'm just going to retreat and grab another unit, I think. Lose 5 days? Hell no. I'll take the attrition. Damn, that heat wave is... This is like a Mexico filter. Was the UI for the Swedish reforms fixed? I think it's working correctly. There we go. Don't need any of that. And then I've got a little bit of cash. This is going to be too expensive. I need to find a patrol to fight. I also want to grab this extra unit and go fight that cavalry patrol. Give me buckshot. Awesome, that's what I wanted. What's with the red tint? Yeah, this is a heat wave, but it's too much. It's too dense, I think. Let's give these guys buckshot. And then our Winterfelt Grenadiers. We're going to keep them in reserve for now. I'm going to go engage this patrol. I'm going to try to take as much money from this as possible to open up the 2nd Brigade. Use the guns of the Winterfell. Ah, that was a good idea. I could have done that. You're right. Could have equipped those guns. Given them to the Lamelites to level up. What's the most effective way to use howitzers? Howitzers, the thing is, you have to pay a lot of attention to artillery's accuracy. And howitzers have extremely low accuracy, so they have to be used at close range, for one. And they should only be used on professional artillery crews who already... Oh my god, it's all cav. Is this true? Is this all cav? Oh my god. Alright, well, we're gonna sit in a forest. That is funny. What's my bracing at? Almost 100%. Racing 0%? I'm fucked. Hopefully they clipped this regiment. Ah, they do! Excellent, excellent. I'd like to throw grenades in to one of these fights. I'm gonna just hit these guys and try to break them. The Lamolets is about to have a bad day right now. This is all provincial cab, at least. Alright, here's where the grenades come in. Check this out. Alright, here we go. Oh, yeah. A little bit of friendly fire, but you know what? I'm willing to take those losses. I'm actually going to pull them back right when the grenades are about to be thrown. Get out of there! There we go. Excellent, excellent. There we go. Howitzers are just close-range cannons. Yeah, they're close range, but you gotta have a crew that is good. Also... what do I want? I want the veterancy. Yeah, you gotta have a crew that's great with accuracy, because the accuracy is so low. It is so low on a howitzer. And then let's swap this guy out. You know what? This dude is really hurt. I'm gonna swap them out for now. In fact, I'm just gonna go sell all this crap. There. And then we want more melee and combat effectiveness. Oh. This is good. You get extra loot. And your melee is plus 5% or 10%. I think this is good. Charge would also be very nice, but melee, I want to be able to grind guys down in prolonged combat too. Plus this has a melee buff as well, so we're just stacking melee. And this is melee damage received. Yeah, this is the way to go. So it's not about the charge impact. I mean, charge is still good, but it's going to be about cleaning them up once the charge is finished. And getting extra loot from battles is very, very good. Now we need to raid settlements. I don't want to waste time raiding cities, so let's go raid this one. Oh, it's beautiful weather, huh? Staff engineer, I'm not going to spend it on it. Okay, got some decent guns. We've almost got the units we need. I'm going to raid this thing. The burning sound doesn't play anymore when you raid villages for some reason, so we gotta fix that. Gonna hit the slum, and then knock out these two villages, most likely. Yeah, it sucks. But we've wasted so much time, I had to do that. We're gonna knock this one out. We gotta fight another battle, that's very good. A bunch of crappy frontier recruits, against a bunch of jacked up grenadiers. That's a good matchup. It's gonna cost 4 veterancy to get them up there, damn. These guys are going to cost 6. They're pretty close to becoming a vet grenadier, which is nice. Are howitzers good with canister shot? Howitzers are horrible with canister shot. Lycorns are okay. They're kind of like a hybrid. And the Shuvalov is also decent. A Shuvalov is decent with canister. In fact, the Shuvalov is kind of made for canister. And we need to get a second officer soon. Is national flag customization possibility? No, not really. For the next game, it would. Honestly, I will just say this, Forrest. To 99% of requests, the answer is just no, because I'm done with the game. Like, it's not an early access game. I'm not really working on... Holy shit. I'm not really working on it anymore. I don't even want to do more DLC, to be honest, either. I'm really happy with how the DLC came out. I think that's a good send-off for the game. So for 90% of the questions, unfortunately, I'm all done. I'm all wrapped up. You know, I'll still do patches and stuff, but I'm just not in active development. But for the next game, I do definitely plan on allowing the national flag customization, because you're going to be... If we decide to do the pike and shot, you would be a mercenary, and mercenaries would need to have their own flag, which would be pretty cool. Oh my god, those grenadiers are getting wrecked by the artillery. Wow. I don't know how their artillery's hitting so well. The Lamolets needs experience, so I need these guys to fight. There we go. Yeah, those grenadiers took such a beating, didn't they? Huge, huge beating. MoC in the current state outside minor bugs, fantastic. Yeah, thank you, man. I'm happy where it's at as well. I think it's in a good spot. Okay, I got the uniforms, by the way. Let's conscript. Just get those casualties replenished, because we took a lot. Good. Now we finish off the raid. Spontoons go off of these guys, replaced, and then give it to these guys here. They can become Fusiliers. I don't want to deal with them yet. Okay, good. I got 1 day in of drilling, which replenished and leveled us up. That's what I wanted. We'll jump in. We got a little bit of cav, a little bit of infantry. Just got to take this thing out. Yeah, I'm curious to see if I can win the HQ with only two brigades. That's my restriction. And I want to have all units at Grenadiers. Infantry hangars could be cool. Yeah, I can equip them. This is a modded map. Frederica, they have no cav, so they're going to be aggressive. So I will hang back and let them come to me. They're going to try to wrap around me. Double shattered him. Excellent. There we go. 1 minute. 1 minute battle. Done. Dum dum da dum. And I'm taking veterancy. Get all these promotions. There we go. I want to get those veteran grenadiers for the final battle. We got heavy bayonets too. And before the final battle, I'll unequip everything and optimize. We only have to raid 2 more to get what? Goose Step for extra combat effectiveness. That's definitely worth it. Grab the deer, burn this, and then head back. We're going to pick up a free unit as well. We got tons of food, so we can force march everywhere. Oh, look at this. We're getting all the animals. Great Dane on the Winterfell. Done. 2 animals and 1. I'll do that. Got 4. I'll grab a little bit of extra this, and then everything else is going to start going into ferocity. And now our general has 200 guys, an extra 200, so he's 350, which is nice. To raid 1 more time. I think we're making good progress right now. Is the era of the next game still undecided? It's technically still undecided. I think I was saying earlier that we're leaning on the pike and shot if we can get it to work, but I just can't confirm anything. Fusiliers for 899. Yes. Powder house. I want some grenades. No grenades here. Hit the outpost, get a free unit. Outfit a regiment with great equipment. And we grab a line infantry. Prussian musketeer. And we can make him a grenadier. Okay, we're in a good spot. Let's go up. Gonna probably buy manpower. And then with the rest of our money, we get a second officer. So we want to hit Greifswald. Are there any other places for officers? This place has cheap officers. I could try to make it there in 30 days. Just grab the officer at the end on a discount. Then we can be picky. I think I like that. In the meantime, we'll just walk there and whatever happens, happens. But we've got our 4 brigades. We've got 4 brigades, so it means that we're ready. Sorry, 4 units in our 2nd brigade is what I meant to say. So we have two full brigades. It means we're ready for the final fight. I'm going to take on this and the fort and grab an officer. And then we'll see if I can win it with my heavy infantry spam. Yeah, Poland is definitely struggles in the early game. We are patching it, though, to make it a little bit easier, which will be out either tonight or tomorrow, the patch. I think by the way this test is going, I'm actually playing on the newest build, the updated version that you don't have access to just yet, to test it. And it seems to be going well, so I think we could probably make this live tonight. And Poland should be a little bit easier in that build. I want these musketeers to get some kills and get upgraded. Oh, they took a lot of casualties, fuck. Okay, only one unit took a lot of losses. But we're getting very close to that final battle. And I think I'll grab veterancy here again. I think that's the way to go. We got a lot of items, so we can optimize our items soon. Hit the fort. We don't have artillery and we don't have men. I'm going to run to grab a couple guys. Especially because we want to replenish while we're waiting on a siege. The other trick, by the way, guys, go on foraging while sieging, and you consume less food during the siege. So that's what you want to do. I think I got the money. I think I'll spend the money, but breached it. And do I sacrifice a grenade? Probably not, because I want to get more grenades. Got lucky. Got new guns. Probably get extra charge. I think. Because my guys have really good morale. This is not bad. Extra brigade officer morale in the command radius is doubled, so I just provide a ton of morale. That's also an option. Or I get free money every day and morale. These are actually all good options. I don't really know which one I'd want. I like this. I want to hit them hard. I'm going to knock out the outpost and then switch back up. Oh, I forgot we totally ignored encamped armies. We could have done an encamped battle. I spent a lot of the time just walking around. It doesn't work. Let's go grab the officer we want. Alright. Cheap officers. Nothing great here. This guy's not bad. 15% charge, and he doesn't die. I like him. And I need to sell off some crap. Okay, everyone should be fully replenished. I wish I could have got one more unit up. We're really missing that extra unit because we tried to stick to all heavy infantry. And I never got the promotion in. He will get promoted by the time... Yeah, we're going to sacrifice a lot of stats from veterancy. Like, we're going to lose -7 on everything to gain +10. Okay, yeah. So we're going to be down a little bit, but we'll be ultimately up. I think that's fine. Will these guys be able to make it in to be... I could make someone a converged grenadier to get 1,600 manpower. That's probably worth it. Because we have so few guys. I think I want extra melee and morale radius. Or command radius. And then the rest, I might just unequip everything and just min-max the hell out of what we've got. We want grenades too, right? And then we can use the sorting system. Good. Everybody's empty. We've got primary weapons. Let's start with that. So we're going to do... These dudes are going to be our shock troops. We're going to give them an extra dark blue coat. These are my 2 von Schwerin shock troops. There. These guys are technically shock as well, but they are lower tier, so they could be in the front line. Those are my 2 Fusiliers. Fusilieren. We'll go yellow flags for them. They can be yellow themed. It's good. I like that. This guy's also a Fusilier. Musketeer. These guys will just kind of be shooting, I guess. Shooting oriented. And he could be the Lucky Irish. This is my Irish brigade. Good. I'm gonna do... I think I want to try to afford 1 more unit first, right? So I need to sell some stuff off. And what kind of unit can we get? We can get a guy for $899. So we need to liquidate 900. I need 800 in cash, which is, how realistic is that we get 800 in cash? I could sell some Podstams. I don't need carbines. Keeping a carbine, because it gives you shock damage, could be nice, but I feel like we don't need carbines. Are we going to get up to 800 realistically? Probably not. Probably shouldn't even try, right? Which really sucks we can't get that last unit. Unless we just say, you know what, let's go for something cheaper and grab a Cantoness for 500. And just have an extra guy who can just be bodying artillery shots or something. That could be the case. Could be the case. I don't know how we're going to come up with another 300, though. Especially because I could just spend all that money instead on, like, grenades and stuff. It's probably smarter to do. Let's check this place real quick. Okay, they've got big sets of grenades. This is what I want here. Huge sets that you can throw really far. Like, ideally... I mean, I would love that. How much is that going to cost you? 400. I only need to come up with 200, so... You know what? I'm going to try everything I can do to win this battle. But we're so outnumbered. Don't need a horse. How much more do we have to come up with? It's going to cost us a lot. So I don't think we can get all of this. What is this thing we'd be put at? We need... Hold on. It's going to cost us 413. Right. So we have to get our balance of negative 202 to be 0. How could we do that? I mean, maybe we can just afford to buy 1 big set of blast grenades. I think that's probably easier for us to come up with that money. And get rid of stuff we just can't even use. Like limber chests and horses. That's possible. And then we just see what we can do. Okay, here we go. Let's start equipping. Ah, there we go. Why are glass grenades better? Yeah, you can throw them really far. So if you gave them to the von Schwerin, who gets a 25% throw range anyways, we could kind of nuke enemy units from super long range, which is very good for these Schwerin troops at the top. These two are going to be like our elite guard that we're only going to commit toward the end. And we want them to have the highest melee potential possible. So, shock is for... Shock is 2. Shock is 5. So probably give him, it's a 2, 6, or 5. Give him this. And give that guy this. Then everybody else can just kind of have pod stams and stuff. These musketeers who are good at shooting can get the brown bess. And everyone else gets these. And then my Irish brigade could get Charlevilles, maybe. And the rest of this I can sell off. The rest of these weapons. Okay. 200 left. Who's the cheapest guy? I bet we could get a Frycorps recruit for 478. I really bet we could once we're done equipping items. Sorry, I'm just min-maxing the hell out of this. I wonder if there's a way you could switch the hats of your guys for customization. Yeah, that would be cool. I think for the next game we'll do that. Not for this one, though. Let's go with a 7-7, 6-8, and then 8-4. These guys will be more like shock-oriented. Keep 1 bayonet. Miscellaneous, sort by value. And we want to give Von Schwerin the big glass grenades, and then his buddy is going to get the next best grenades that we've got. What do we got here? Just regular, huh? And then these grenadiers... Actually, this whole brigade should get grenades. There, all 4 have grenades now. These dudes are good at shooting, so let's give them the buckshot. Can I afford any more buckshot? I could grab buck and ball. Grab 15 extra accuracy. I don't know. Or do I grab another thing of grenades? I think we just grab more grenades, right? We just grab so many grenades. That's what we do. And then we need, for a Highland charge, we need him to have the charging. Max range, let's give it to this guy. Actually, he's got, look, buckshot for minus 35% range. If we give him the staff engineer, he gains more range. And then if we give him the Charleville, he gains even more range. And then it compensates for it fully. And then alcohol goes to these 2 guys. I'll also give him the spear, and then give these 2 guys behind them spears. We've got these 2 melee guys as well that we want to give like swords to. We've got a fish for stamina recovery, could be very good on like this Schwerin. Because he's got 74 stamina, we want him to like repeatedly charge in, right? He has the highest shock, so he needs to keep charging. So we need to sell like a block of cheese and give him a slot for the fish to recover. And then we'll give the alcohol to other guys. This dude needs to focus with his Charleville, so we're going to give him more accuracy. I don't really care about recovery right now, but... No, we'll give it to him. And then we'll give the alcohol there. I'm doing all this, by the way, and then watch me just completely lose anyways. Morale damage received minus 20%. Give it to him. And then we got lots of animals. In fact, I'd probably want to give morale, move speed, morale, melee. Melee hit to him. And then I got the bear for reload. That's tough. I could give him the bear. And then for move speed, I give it to these guys. The Irish make him move quickly and have good morale. And move. Yeah. Call him the lightning. units. They go 40-50, which is the fastest unit in the army, these Lightning Irish. So that's cool. And I think the rest we all have to sell everything else. I would like to get the ramrods, though. But who can even have them? I could do this. They can pump out more shots quickly. And I have $100 left. And for 100, do I have anything else I could sell? Possibly. No. I will probably drill. And then use that money to buy ammo. To drill again. We get a thunderstorm, which is excellent. Dude, thunderstorm is like the best luck because look, minus 10% range, minus 20% accuracy. So when they hit us with artillery, they're going to miss their shots. And low morale affects them more than us because our morale is so high that we're fine on morale. And I can do upgrades now. Look, we can go veteran to gain... We'd be gaining 10 charge. Or we keep the veterancy and gain 9 charge. So yeah, really unfortunate, but I think we have to actually stay. Otherwise, we're going to lose stats if we upgrade. Now, you could say the same thing. Damn, I really wanted to go converge. Look how many more guys they're going to get. But I'm not going to have time to replenish them into the unit. I think we just keep all of our veterancy. I think we have to, even though it's so tempting to upgrade all these guys. But this is the best army we could have done. I definitely needed this other unit here. And this would have been possible, but I think I screwed myself. I don't want to fight in the city. I just hate fighting in the city map. Okay. All this artillery is going to miss. Royal recruits are not too hard. So, violin, if we upgrade the veterancy, the issue if we do that is that we're going to lose... All the veterancy is doing this, look. Veterancy plus 9 on morale. Veterancy plus 9. Veterancy plus 9. Veterancy plus 9. Veterancy plus 9. Veterancy plus 9, right? So all of this veterancy is adding up. I'm assuming it's giving you like 1.5 stats. If we spend all of it, we lose all of it now, which would be fine for Act 2, because then we'll regain the veterancy. But for this battle, we need every stat we can get. We need a min-max to the highest level we can. So, yeah. Officers we're dealing with, observant. Let's see what the artillery officer is. Cover effectiveness, that's fine. Cavalry charge, damn, plus 15% on the cavalry unit. And what they're using Saxa Doctrine for morale recovery, but they're really slow. They're very slow. Okay.
A very scary sight, because I have done it once. Any casualties that you'll see...
Sorry, I was just watching a video. Okay, guys. This is our thunderstorm battle. Why is the retreat a white flag? I don't know, Connor. You tell me. If you had to take a guess. One thing that's helping us out here is like French Fusiliers and Royal Recruits are not... Look, 22 morale. Oh, no, that's their accuracy. Either way, 20 accuracy compared to our stats. Look at these guys. They're decked out. Look at my melee is 124. With 150% combat effectiveness. With my Schwerin Supermarines. There. This block of... This is like my old guard that's going to sit in the back and come out at the end. So, are they going to be defensive? This army's likely to be aggressive. It'll defend if it has an artillery advantage. Yeah, I mean, they've got the artillery advantage. This is what's going to kill us. All of this artillery. You know what we needed? If these Fusiliers could have been promoted to 1,600 men, that's 400 guys here, 400 guys here. That would have soaked up 800 casualties. The enemy artillery is going to deal about 1,200 kills. So all of that would have been soaked up by extra Fusiliers, and I don't have enough guys. So I don't know if this can be possible. I think, and this is a really bad map too, by the way. We have a lot of grenades at least. You think the artillery is not going to do much? Howitzer, cannon, 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 cannon. This guy's not going to do much with 29 accuracy. That's horrible for a cannon. The other guys are at 40, 35. Yeah, their accuracy is not great. Their accuracy is not great. Listen, they go very slowly. So we need to stack up on one flank and then push all the way down. Like a... I would say this. Look at this flank with a bunch of royal recruits. If you crack that flank and push down, I think that's your best way to do it. So what I would do... I'd put the general in the front so he soaks up artillery fire if they do hit us. The von Schwerin troops will be in reserve. I'm not worried about the cav, because look at our melee. 124, and then their cav comes at us with a 29. Like, their charge is going to be strong, but I think we will be fine if we can counter them. Could you wait it out? No, here's the thing. The AI will only advance and attack you if they don't have enough artillery or they take a lot of casualties. But they're just going to bomb the hell out of me, so... These Prussian musketeers are going to have to be, like, in the front. At least they're able to use buckshot at a pretty long range. Like, both of these guys have similar range, but one guy's got buckshot at 54 accuracy, which is not bad. These dudes are going to be in the front, followed by the Fusiliers. Are the Fusiliers more valuable? Who's more valuable? Fusiliers look like they have insane charge. So they should be right behind them to charge in. The Lightning Brigade, I can reposition rapidly wherever I need to. And then my Schwerin is my reserve. And I move this up quickly, including the Garde du Corps. And the enemy is slow, and they have low range. Wow, look how low the range is. Look at the range on the artillery. That is so lucky it's a thunderstorm. Yeah, we're pretty safe from the artillery. We just need to kind of close in and skirmish with them. It's going to be a bad idea to just push everything in because the artillery is going to concentrate on us. But what I would do... We want to knock out that flank first. Does the thunderstorm affect you too? Yes, it affects all of us. So our accuracy and range is worse as well, but we're not going to be shooting much. We're hopefully going to be focusing on melee. Look at the artillery. It sucks. They can't do anything. I'm going to wheel everything around. Who is supposed to be in the front? It looks like these guys are in the front. Space them out there. Put the Fusiliers behind them. And then Schwerin behind them. There we go. I don't want them to get the accuracy bonus on that hill, so if we can drive them off of it. Most of their artillery is off of it, it seems. Yeah, look at that. They only got 24 kills. They're missing. They got an accuracy buff, frustratingly, from that hill. But it looks like this is going to be our battle line. And we've got our Lightning Irish Brigade over there with 74 charges. Nice. There's no grenades, so... Look at that. Their speed is only 20. So we need to go defeat them in detail. And they're going to move nice and slow. So the other thing we need to do... Why are they Irish? I don't know. I'm just having fun. Are they not allowed to be Irish? Get the grenades in. Decent toss. Put them in the command radius. Another decent toss. Start moving up these reserves. Let's get these guys up with the buckshot. I would like to hit these grenadiers. They're being very annoying. There we go. Let's hit them in the back. They got low morale. I'm going to steadily move up the reserve. Grenadiers are taking a lot of fire. We're at a weird angle for it to use our grenades, which is unfortunate. Why is there a Russian flag when you fight the French? Where is the Russian flag that you're seeing? Ah, the Russian flag up there. It's probably because the Russian command staff is, or the command are Russian. See the cavalry? They're the 1st Brigade of the army, I think. So they are led by Russians. But they are mainly using French troops. Alright, the Irish are doing pretty good. I just want to knock out like dominoes all of those troops on the flank. I'm going to have them pull back, move these guys up. I'm going to adjust so I can get a nice grenade toss. And I want to keep Schwerin in the back for the end. There we go. Some of their artillery is like pulled up, trying to maneuver into a frontline position. I'm going to have Schwerin come and knock these German grenadiers out. The enemy is pushing too far forward on me. Look at the Irish brigade up there. They're kicking ass in the north. That's funny. Are you guys really upset about the Irish? I named them the Irish because I thought it'd be fun. I'll fucking kill all the Irish then if you guys want me to. Oh, these guys... These Fusiliers got screwed. I do not want them to get shattered. Alright, the reserves and stuff are all gonna have to get called up. I'll have these guys rest and shoot. There we go, they're back. They're back, and I need to grenade the hell out of these guys. Oh, we overthrew the grenades. It's alright. We will underthrow them a little bit this time. Who's charging? They're engaging in melee. It's fine. I'm actually going to pull out of that and then just charge them. Because look at my charge stat. It's a 94. Oh, come on, guys. There we go. It's probably better to get the charge off at least. Yeah, look at that. Excellent. Let's have these dudes throw the grenade in now. They can reform. I'm going to probably charge these guys down just to shatter them. The enemy cav is going to be activated soon at this rate. German grenadiers are going down. How much charge have I got? 62 charge. Can we boost it? 76. There we go. I'm gonna swivel to take care of these guys. And I should shatter these grenadiers. Look at this. Beautiful. They're out. Shattered. Probably gonna charge in from 2 sides. And I'll shatter those grenadiers next. Uh-oh, the Irish are going down. I don't think the Irish are going to survive that, because the cavalry is going to start massing up. Yeah. What do we want to do? Maybe Schwerin can come in up here to try and rescue the Lightning Brigade. And I just need to break... The artillery is focused in the center, so I won't get bombarded here. I just need to break the grenadiers and get out of that. I'm going to move up to go rescue the Irish with my commander. I'm going to actually move Schwerin back, because I want to keep the Schwerin units for the end, since they're my most trusted. They're going to fall back in a sec, which is good. Alright, good. Now they're charging von Schwerin, which I'm fine with. In fact, could I throw a grenade at point blank for the charge? I believe I can. Will it go off too soon? It will, because they're so slow. Okay. Can we throw one more? Okay, we got the grenades off. Oh, excellent. Look at that. Annihilated them. Beautiful. Shattered. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And then what else do we have to do? Fusiliers there. We got the other von Schwerin unit. Their morale is so low, even though their strength is pretty decent. They're not being targeted, besides that artillery, who is. Their artillery is tired, which is nice, at least. Their ammo is still pretty decent. Lightning could be rallied, potentially. It would be cool to get them rallied. And I still have 2 more sets of grenades, so I'm going to use that to have Schwerin cut through the Fusiliers and maybe start pushing there. Do units lose bracing if they put on bayonets? They do, yes. What it is, that rule is in place because it prevents you from quickly attaching a bayonet right before impact and getting full brace effect, which I thought was kind of lame if you could do that. That's a shame these guys aren't going to rally, just barely. All right. Fair enough. We got 3 grenades. And so we're going to grenade the hell out of these guys. The lightning unit did very well anyways, so I'm okay with their performance. And now we're going to throw the last grenade in. Then we're going to walk right up at point blank. And push in. Let's get these guys up a little bit. These guys need to fall back. And I don't know, get into somebody's command radius. I mean, who's a commander here? Both of our commanders are up top. I think we got to just bring this guy down south. I think these guys have to get pulled back, and Schwerin has to move up. And then the officer can rally and keep these guys into the fight. So we'll fall them back and fall this guy up. And then I want to fire at point blank and charge and knock that unit out. The enemy still has cuirassiers and 2 dragoons. I've knocked this unit out and shattered it. And I've triggered their Dragoons. So what I'm going to do is pause, form like a block, and hold position, and start getting my brace up. There we go. We got our 2 officers here. So we got a little more morale in the south. And I should be able to beat these Dragoons with Schwerin, because I've got 120 melee to their 28. So yeah, we're going to crush them. So really the only threat is this block, this infantry block at this point. But look, this other Schwerin battalion we have is in a very good spot currently. There we go, we just broke them. And that's roll up on the flank. And if we're on a road, we're going to regain stamina faster. And then it might be the case that these 2 units now need to sort of begin flanking. Does anyone else have grenades left? No grenades left. Okay. He's going to rally, which I don't like. Can I prevent that? I might be able to catch him. I just don't want them to rally because that's their whole bonus. I was wondering why their enemy cav is charging so slow, but it's because they have minus 25% move speed. I don't think we're going to catch these guys in time. I think that's fine, though. Enemy is exhausted. That's excellent. Their accuracy is so low. Only 118 kills. So we got lucky with the artillery with the rainstorm, too. We need to keep everybody in this morale bubble. Those other Fusiliers are broken. Oh, as I said that, dude. 700 guys would have been perfect. We've got to babysit. These guys are about to break just because of the amount of casualties we've taken. So I might as well get use out of them before they leave. Which is to say, they should just move up and fire a volley before they're forced to leave. Because they're going to break soon. And they're breaking already, damn. It's because the Dragoons came back and inflicted some casualties. Yeah, that sucks. Those Musketeers are kind of holding out down there. So I just have my Schwerin units who are left. Great morale damage on the rear shot. And it's up to my 2 Schwerin units to win the entire battle for me. This is the problem here. Look. How are you supposed to win if these guys are going to charge in with 800 men outnumbering my exhausted troops? They're not going to win, so I think the only thing we could hope is maybe we get some shots off. Oh, it's falling apart. Damn. Yeah, Marshall's no joke, man. You need the 3rd Brigade. I think if I just even had that extra unit, like, imagine 1 more Musketeer, or, remember I was saying the Fusiliers could have had 1,600 guys each, which would have negated their whole artillery advantage. I think that's something that could have also won us this battle. But as it stands now, yeah. Oh god, the shatters across the whole line. Alright, well, Schwerin number 2. I'm going to kind of make your formation a little denser for morale preservation purposes. And you can hold your position. Yeah, the extra cuirassier they have in reserve is gonna annihilate me. We were doing good, though. That was a close battle. There's the Dragoons. Yeah, that's it. Before we even got there, I think the carbines did them. Oh, what a shame. I feel like our morale really plundered at the end there. Or plummeted, rather. Yeah. Which of their units... These guys got 600 kills, the artillery. That's really the main factor there. Their cuirassiers didn't even get into battle. So it's a really tough fight. The game works, though, so I think this patch can go live. Yeah, we didn't fight any encamped armies. You basically have to... I think for half of that, we were just kind of walking back and forth. Vanquished. Yeah, it is a little similar to Dark Souls, isn't it? Okay, we are going to make this patch live. And so I'm going to go ahead and upload it now. 1 second. Okay, we're live. And you guys will see me on stream do a patch note or change log. Okay. I would do, this should not be a regular update. This should probably just be a patch. Yep. And what is this one going to be? This is going to be patch 1.5.5. Balance changes, bug fixes. Nothing really major, not a major theme. Default branch, and then you guys can actually preview what changed. So we're gonna just fill this out real quick. Should be very easy. We got our battle changes, which looks like this. We've got our campaign changes, which look like this. Got some AI changes. And I'll probably put battle changes, campaign changes, and then maybe I'll do Swedish changes there. We also have to update the achievement for all in a day's work because that has been changed to make it a little more easy to get. Polish changes. We have our more generalized unit changes here. You know what? Makes sense. Put that there. There. Okay, this seems good to me. There we go. And I'll let people know the patch is now live. There we go. I found stacking charge, melee, and stamina on Swedish units was a good idea. Early game stamina can be rough, but it's fixable. Yeah, I also changed, Rainy, the stamina item, or I'm sorry, the canteen items to now give stamina if they're large canteens. And if they're small canteens, they let you move quicker. So you can kind of choose between doubling down on stamina with the large canteens or playing a bit into stamina and speed with the shorter or smaller canteens. So I think that's nice. But yeah, that patch is now out. I play tested it, should be good. We do have to change one of the achievements. So I'm gonna go update that really quickly. And then we'll do a couple last few things to wrap up and then I'll head out, but I'll show off a little bit of the board game I'm working on just for fun. What is this? Achievements. There we go. I save the achievement update. I will publish the change. There we go. And let's just restart Steam and check the achievements aren't broken with what I just changed. The Swedes will also get a little bit of a morale buff in this patch that just came out. So that should help. Okay. Look at that. As the Varvadi, troops boost research speed using items 5 times in one day. So that's been changed. Should be a lot easier to get. Let's see which Swedish achievements people have not really gotten yet. Wow, 0% have won the campaign as the Pomeranian Corps. Or the Magnate Militia, really? Magnate Militia is quite fun. People should try that. A decent amount got the Winged Hussar one. The most popular Swedish ones, I Am the Same, got done pretty quickly. Democracy. It has a very low percentage, but that's because it's the total amount of people who have ever played. And these are comparing the whole player base compared to who got the DLC achievements, which is a very small subset of the total number of players of the game since launch. So the percentages are going to be small, but yeah. Okay. Only 93% of people managed to win their first battle. Well, that's still pretty high, but yeah. I guess if I sat everybody down in a room, 1 out of 10 can't win the first battle, I guess. Maybe that's a problem. I don't know. It'd be fun to just play Doom Eternal on stream. Just play some older... I mean, Doom Eternal's not older. I guess I'm thinking of Doom 2016 as an older game. But yeah, I'll show you my board game real quick. Maybe you guys can give me an opinion. But I'm doing this just for fun. I honestly wouldn't mind if this didn't make me a single dollar. If this was a complete financial failure, I actually don't mind because it's just for fun. But I will be, once this is finished, I will be selling this as a physical board game, not digital. It'll never be digital. It's just purely as a fun, like, physical board game idea. So the concept is, it is a war game, a lightweight 1v1 war game, which you can play with someone who's not into war games. So if you've ever been intimidated or had a friend who's intimidated by like hex counter war games with hexagons and little army counters, you don't have to worry. So it's a lightweight war game that you could play even with your wife or your, someone who's a friend who's not interested in that. And then the other thing is, which I don't know how I didn't mention this, it's a logistics-based war game. So it's all about logistics. You need to use ammunition, provisions, and fuel to run your army here. So you have to use these resources. And then the other thing is there's a ton of randomness with a drafting mechanic, which is optional. You don't have to play with drafting, but it's really fun. I'll show you how it works. So check this out. What you do is you have a deck of resources. So we're going to split this into 8. So we've got 8 resources. And then you have 3 phases that your operation is going to be fought over. So phase 1, we're going to draw random objectives. So it has a little bit of that MoC randomness to it. Phase 1, we've got the passage. So these are where the objectives are going to be. You can't memorize an opening because there are too many randomized factors between the cards that you're going to draft from, the objectives that will randomly appear, and the resources that randomly come up, that you cannot just do openings. So it looks kind of like chess, right, with white versus black. But the thing I really, really tried to account for is to ensure that the game still has a sense of like adaptability. So we're going to draw 8 resource cards. And then of the phase 1 cards, we want 8 of these. So I'm going to shuffle those up, and we want 8 of those. And then, again, you don't have to do the drafting. If you don't like drafting games, you do not need to do the drafting part. But you can split this into 8 and 8. And each player now has a little deck to draft from. So I'm going to put this in my deck. And these are all my cards. A lot of the icons and card names and stuff are placeholder. Notice there's not even graphics because it's still a work in progress. But I don't get all these cards. I pick which ones I want. So look at this. The Provisions Depot gives me a ton of food, and food is what it costs to move infantry formations and artillery. So if I really want to play into that, I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to take the Provision Depot, and I'm going to take any of the other cards I didn't choose, and I'm going to give that to my opponent. He's going to draft a card, and then he's going to give that to me to look at. Okay? So we're going to exchange cards. We're going to draft, and now I'm going to choose between what he drew. And let's see which one of these I want. I could do a marsh, and if I get a marsh card, I can get a promotion on a unit, but it costs more units, or sorry, it costs more fuel to actually move units in the swamp. So we're just going to keep drafting back and forth. Let's say we're done drafting, and I'm ready to play with these cards. You're going to end up with about 7 cards, which is nice to hold in your hand. It's not too much. So let me just clear out. There is a 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just pretend I drafted everything there. So as one of my turns, what I could do is you can play like a Provision Depot, and I'm going to discard that, and I immediately draw up 4 provisions, which, by the way, we have to set those objectives I talked about, remember? So we're going to say these are our objectives we're going to fight on. Okay. And so I drew my 4 provisions, and now all the game is you play a card, and then you move your units. That's it. So I could play a logistics card, which I did, and then I can move. And let's see what I want to do. Maybe I just want to move up and take an objective, right? So I will take my little recon that doesn't cost anything, and my infantry that does, and I will converge on this location, and that just costs 1 provision. Done. So now it's the enemy's turn, which is very simple, right? But if once you get the game down, you can do turns back and forth pretty rapidly. Here's what I think is quite fun. If you play a card like a salvaged half-track, you might get ammunition and fuel. And so fuel is what it costs to move things like vehicles around, which, by the way, your transport can actually load up these guys, right? They load them up, and you only have to pay the fuel cost if you load them up. So you can actually save on food, and you're just going to pay the fuel, which is pretty neat. But what I wanted to mention is the ammunition. So the way ammunition works with the combat, which is really fun to me, is when 2 units meet on a tile and they're going to fight over it. Let's say this was the configuration for the battle. In this configuration, I have 2 units of 1 strength, so I roll 1 die for each. So that's just 2 dice. Very simple. The enemy rolls 1 die. Okay, that's really simple too. There's no other perks, no other considerations. You just roll dice, right? But what makes it interesting, there's 2 things. First, positioning matters. So they have artillery support. This guy has a little perk. He has no strength, meaning if he was directly attacked, right? I roll 1 die, he rolls none. So this guy's weak if he's directly attacked, but he's not being directly attacked. He's supporting. He has the support fire perk. So he's going to add 1 dice. And that means my opponent gets 2 because he's got fire support. So we each have 2. And so I'm going to bring out my die. And then what you do is you're going to commit how much ammunition you want for the battle. So I'm going to say, look, I've got 2 dice I'm rolling. I'm going to put 2 munitions forward. So I'm going to lose this ammo, which I could have spent on deploying more units, right? If I want to put out a tank, I need 3 ammo. So now I'm all out of ammunition. I've got to refill those resources later. But I really want to win this battle. So I'm going to put 2 munitions down. And my opponent is like, hey, I don't have any munitions. I'm screwed. Uh-oh. So he's going to roll. And if he rolls, look, a miss and an ammunition hit, he doesn't have any ammunition. So this counts as a miss. Uh-oh. His logistics were so bad, he had no ammunition to support in the battle that he could have got a kill. He doesn't. But I put 2 ammunition to the battle. And so I got a hit. So one of the ammo I committed to ends up scoring a kill. So you can use ammunition to increase the odds. Now, here's the thing. Ammo is just one of the dice sides. So in this particular example, I also got a wound, meaning if he had 2 units in this area, one of them is wounded, which just means he is not going to count towards the conclusion of the combat, and one's dead, so he's just gone. So in total, what this ends up being is he's wounded, meaning his strength is now 0, and my strength is 1, 2, meaning I win the tile. So if everyone were to wound each other like this, if I got wounded, he got wounded, we just count whoever has the highest strength to win the tile. And then this guy's going to fall back, and then the wound is kind of recollected. I don't know if the way I explained it may have seemed a little confusing, but essentially wounds are a way where if you're not spending ammunition, you can still hurt somebody and push them off of an area, but you won't get the kill for it. And so you have to make sure you're providing your guys with enough ammunition and that you have enough fuel to transport vehicles and enough provisions to feed your guys. So it's all about those logistics. So yeah, you can put down a tank card and get a really badass tank on the battlefield, but look, it's going to guzzle fuel. And anytime you move it, you're just consuming all that fuel, and then it's stuck. So you can do this big tank assault, and then the whole thing fails. And if you don't have the ammo to supply the tanks or the fuel to supply them, the whole assault might fail. And then if the phase ends and we draw the next phase, we get new objectives. So you need to constantly be on your toes for what new objectives are coming up. And then after 3 phases, we see who has the most objectives, and that person wins. So it's a nice little skirmish game that starts off very light, but will pick up in a little bit of the complexity in terms of the interactions of what you have. So the units themselves are quite easy to control, right? They're very simple. Look, it's just I use 1 die and I cost 1 food. Simple. It's not even like some hex counter war games where it's like an attack and defense and activation value. You don't have to worry about that. But the actual way you're fighting in combat, you know, you want your support fire, you want enough guys for enough dice, you need enough ammunition. And then the other cool thing is the board looks very empty, right? This is the very last piece of complexity that I really enjoy. The board looks super empty. This is intentional because I want that first intro to this game to be minimal setup time. So you're not fidgeting around with connecting all these tiles, putting a bunch of terrain down, putting a bunch of units. It's supposed to be very quick to set up, but I want the game to become complex over time. So once you have fire support on like multiple ends of the map, and now you're covering multiple tiles, when you draft these cards, some of these cards, like this, is like a marsh, and so that will create terrain. If you play this, I get to put terrain down as though my troops have scouted out a marsh, like that, and that will lock into place, and now you are building the board with your opponent as they take terrain cards and you do, and the battlefield will slowly fill up with all this interesting, unique terrain that's different every time you play. So in one battle, you might end up with a train station next to a swamp with a forest in the back and a city that you're fighting over. And in another one, maybe there's 2 cities that are bordering and there's no marshes, but now there's a river that's cutting across with a mountain pass or a valley. And then when the objectives spawn and an objective appears in a valley, and the valley gives an attack advantage to whoever, you know, if my guys are stuck in the valley and the enemy attacks me, they get extra strength when they attack into a valley. So, you know, I may have been baited to push my guys in, take the objective. But what's nice is all of this complexity, none of it's there at the start of the game, right? It's a nice, simple board. So it's up to you and your opponent as you draft cards back and forth to create the complexity over time as the board unfolds and becomes different with every playthrough. And then the final thing I did not mention, which is in regards to the idea of the complexity increasing over time, is that every single one of these chits has an upgrade on the flip side. Look at this. So motorized becomes mechanized. Light infantry becomes heavy infantry. Mortars become artillery. So over time, the whole board, also like the scouts, become recon or commandos. So over time, the units become more complex. They become more deadly. You get more logistics. You have more ammo to pull off larger assaults. You have terrain that starts making the board more interesting. So it's a very fun skirmish game because you want to play and see what happens every time. And you can't memorize an opening to win. You have to adapt to whatever terrain happens to appear, whatever units happen to appear. And then what's also another thing I really, really like about this, these cards that you're drafting from, there's so many cards that you will not play with all of them in a single match. So when I go to draft, I'm only taking 8 of these cards from phase 1 to draft from. And then we go to phase 2, I only use 8 of those cards, and so on and so on and so on. So there are tons of cards that we will not see. We're not going to see a bunch of cards for an entire playthrough. None of these will appear at all. You know, in some games, you might say, hey, it's a really big pool of cards, and then once you play them all and then reshuffle them, you're just playing through them multiple times, but maybe there's a lot of cards and reshuffling is rare. Well, in this, you might play a full match and you're never going to reshuffle these. Like, if a card, you know, if the Jeep card just never comes up, you're never going to have a bunch of Jeeps, or Jeeps got renamed to motorized. They're now called motorized. So maybe this time there's just not a lot of motorized in this battle, but the next time you play, maybe you're drawing a lot of motorized. But these, you know, once you progress to the next phase, you never get to play with these other cards. So there's always that little mystery of like, oh, what could we have played with if we play again and see what comes up? Same goes with terrain. You might only play with like a third of the terrain cards for an entire match, but you want to keep playing to see how the next board is going to unfold and the next what next cards might come up. Same with like the resources as well. You might end up getting really lucky, and on the first phase, there's tons of fuel being produced. And if there's a lot of fuel, you want to get the tanks out because they're going to consume all that fuel. So it's really interesting. I really like that the game has a lot of kind of macro strategy focuses, like a game like chess, but it's not as based around openings and memorization and like solving the game, because a ton of it is so random and procedural of what terrain and what units and what resources might come up that it's very difficult to just memorize an exact strategy. So yeah. Yeah, that is about everything. Seems like a neat system. What's the benefit of tanks? I will show you a tank. So I'm still trying to figure those out. We have a system called armor and armor piercing. I'm thinking of getting rid of armor piercing and replacing it, or just removing it, because armor sort of works well on its own. So I'm still kind of on the fence about how I want to do it. I'm still working on the design. But armor just means they take 2 hits to kill. So if I bring up this tank and the enemy brings up 2 infantry and they roll 1 miss and 1 hit from the ammunition they spend, this is not enough to kill the tank. You need 2 hits. So you really need to commit. I need to actually spend a lot of ammo, get fire support, a lot of dice, and try to take out this tank. So that's what that does. And then when the tank is upgraded, it now gets 2 stacks of armor. So you need 3 hits to kill an upgraded armor formation, which is really, really tough to do. But they also consume a ton of fuel. So this thing can be very powerful in a certain sector of the board, but if you bait the enemy to continuously attack you and you harass them, kind of like, reminds me, this is a horrible example, I probably could pick a more modern example, but if anyone knows like the Southern campaign in the American Revolution, where they're baiting the British to keep driving further and further into like South Carolina, North Carolina, and then they're just running out of supplies by overextending themselves away from the port, and then they eventually just get stuck at Yorktown, and then they get destroyed. You can kind of like bait this tank to follow you, and you're losing. But they're just spending so much fuel to keep pushing that once they're stuck here, you could launch that big counterattack. What I was thinking is that the armor piercing just makes it so that the armor perks are completely negated if an armor piercing unit is present. So in this case, if you've got your recon, which are like bazooka troops, and your infantry formation, instead of 2 stacks of armor, it has 0 stacks of armor. So you only need 1 hit to kill it. So they're really, really vulnerable if you have armor piercing present. Which, if you brought your own tanks, notice your own tanks could have armor piercing. So if you have your armor and infantry, it makes that much easier. The thing I don't like about that rule is if you have a heavy armor, like this, versus light armor, they both have armor piercing. So the heavy armor has no advantage over the light armor, which I don't like. And so, yeah, I'm still trying to solve how I want to do armor piercing, or I might even remove it. If I removed it in this case, then it would actually be fair, because this tank would still have trouble against the heavy armor. So yeah, that part's still being figured out. I think this has like another 3 or 4 weeks of like design work, and then it will probably have a couple months of playtesting, and I'll bring in an artist to do all professional art for it. And then by the end of the year, I'll probably put it out for pre-orders, and we'll just do 1 round of pre-orders. I'll print the exact amount that are pre-ordered. So, if I get 500 pre-orders, we'll make 500 copies of the game, and then we're done. So it'll be kind of like a one and done, just for fun project. And by the way, I have to give credit to AJ, who is my co-designer. He came up with the foundation for this system. So this originates from his original game concept called The Draft. And it was like a more modern kind of theme. And you can see kind of the early origins of the resource system. And so we started working together, and then I just kind of cleaned up the design and am kind of painting a bigger like historical coat over it, and really trying to lean into like the different resources, and add more content to it, balance it, playtest it and stuff. So we're both working together on that, and he's been very good as a co-designer. So I have to give him credit as well. I would not have had time to build this entire system by myself, also working on MoC. So it's been a huge amount of time spent on it. But it's very fun, and I really enjoy how the game's shaped up. I normally don't enjoy like basic skirmish games like this, but just because of how random it is, it's just fun to see how each match is going to unfold because they're so different. So I really enjoy the variety. It kind of has that roots of the roguelike system of MoC without really being a roguelike, just because every run is really built on adaptability. I enjoyed that being mixed in with a skill from a player alongside strategy. If a game is just strategy, then you can kind of learn openings. Like chess has a lot of focus on openings and the right move that you're supposed to make. So I really want to have a game here that has more adaptability. So I enjoy how that's come out. Okay, so that's a little preview just about the board game being worked on too. And otherwise, I think I'm wrapping up now. Update is out. So I think that's it. I think I might bounce. I might get the hell out of here. Unless there's anything else to chat about. But I don't think so. Yeah, I showed you guys the board game. I showed you a little bit of my pike and shot concepts as well with the new art style. And we also play tested MoC. So I think this was nice and productive. We went over a lot of stuff. Oh, one of the last things I want to show is I like this color scheme. I guess I showed this earlier in the stream, but I really like the color scheme for a pike and shot game. Yeah, I did show this off earlier, but I like this being the color scheme for the UI. If MoC1 was blue and silver, I like the idea of like a sea green and gold color for a pike and shot game. I like that being the color scheme for it. Let me see if I had any other examples. No, I don't want to share anything else. I shouldn't have even shared any of this. Anyways, that's all I want to talk about. Is I just enjoyed the color scheme. That's about it. But yeah, we went over a whole bunch today. So I will see you guys on the next one. Just to quickly clarify, D-Man, I have not decided on pike and shot yet. I'm just playing around and prototyping the idea because we're using the month of June to do prototyping for all sorts of game ideas. And then by the end of the month, we want to lock something in. So pike and shot right now has been the one prototype that we've gotten the furthest with, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's a decent shot we actually do pursue it. If you have the time and you want to rewatch the stream, you can probably go to the beginning of the stream once it's uploaded and listen to some of the conversation we had about it. But nothing is confirmed, and I'm not going to actually make anything publicly confirmed probably for a little while. But I'm enjoying how it's shaping up, so I will say that. What store platform are you going to release the board game on? I'm not sure yet. Probably on my website. But I will let you know. It'd be cool if I could put it on like Amazon or something, but I don't think so yet. So anyways, thank you guys for joining. And I will see you guys later.